Hi, I'm Rob. It's garage time. Okay, you never see this on Hot Rod Garage. Hey everybody, it's your old pal Rob. Welcome to the garage. Where were we? All right. Part 3 of the transmission modifications. Today we're going to install the gear set provided by the John's Cars kit that will allow the Jaguar XJ6 speedometer to read the correct speed from the transmission. The Jaguar XJS rear end that's in the Jag Special has a 288:1 rear axle ratio, and the transmission I got came out of a late 60s Camaro, and who knows what the rear axle ratio was in that. So the John's Cars kit comes with a speedometer drive gear set that is the correct ratio to read the 288:1 rear end gears, pass it through the turbo 350 transmission, and then up to the Jaguar speedometer so that it reads correctly. I know I've said that about 10 times so far, but that's what it's going to do. So let's head back to the transmission and make that happen. Okay, so we got the shift kit in, and now it's time to put in the correct speedometer gears that will give me the correct speedo reading on the Jaguar speedometer. There are instructions for it in my modification manual from John's Cars, but the instructions about swapping out the speedometer gear aren't particularly complete. So I bought this book, which is complete. So I've already looked up how to modify the speedometer, and the first thing I got to do is pull this thing out because I can't take the tail shaft off without pulling out the speedometer drive. That's super easy. 1 7/16 bolt, boom. And then you pull this guy out. Comes out, boom. There's supposed to be a little gear that goes in here, but apparently it fell into the tail shaft housing. Oh well. I also have a seal kit, so I think before I take this off, I am going to remove this seal so I can put the new seal on there. Let's go get some more tools so that we can do that. Flat bladed screwdriver to use as a drift, and a small ball peen hammer should do nicely. Oops. Don't trip over the engine stand. Try not to anyway. There we go. There's that. There. Boom. Okay, now let's pull some bolts, shall we? One. With any luck, I won't have to tap any holes. With any luck, the last person who worked on this won't have been a ham fist. There's that. And this. We go. Now, whoop, 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 whoop. Damn it. Here's the piece that fell out of the speedometer drive, the little speedometer drive housing. Oh, ick. That ain't good. Let's go get some kitty litter, shall we? All right, now we're going to do the speedometer gear. This is the speedometer drive gear. This is the stock one. Here's the one from John's kits. You can see they slide right on. It's really easy to get this off. All you need is a screwdriver. And there's this little retaining clip right here. You push it down and the gear slides off. Then you take the new gear, slide it on, push that down, fit in the slot. There it is.
The tabs of the retaining clip are on the outside of the gear. That gear is on there. Nice. Okay. Now, we've got the tail shaft housing off. We've got a new seal. And we're going to press it into the tail shaft housing. I don't have anything round that will match that outside diameter, but I do have this fantastic block of steel, which will press it in nicely. We will place it there. Let's make sure it's cranked down. There we go. And cool. Working perfectly. Well, that was easy. Nice. Oh, and I've also put the fresh tail shaft housing seal onto the flange ring. That's what we'll call it, because that makes sense. Now, let's go install all of that onto the transmission. In you go. There we go. Now, 4 bolts. We go. And I have it on good authority that these get torqued to 35 foot-pounds. Man. You've got to be shooting me. Oops. The possibility exists that I may be doing a helicoil. My mind is a little blown that there are so many stripped holes on this thing. There's one other thing we can try to do here. That is right here where the breather vent tube broke off. Pretty sure that this little nugget right here that the breather tube was poked into, that's the thing that comes out. And so I'm going to try to knock that out and see if we can get a new breather to put in there. Got it. Ta-da! Get me a new breather and poke it in there. Cool. Okay, so right now we're going to get that tail shaft housing back on. And I decided after messing around with it that I'm just going to put a helicoil in there because the type 1 method, the method that I call type 1 of thread recovery, where I just run a tap down in there farther and then put a longer bolt in, isn't going to work because the threads in that hole are just too mangled. They're mangled way down the length of the bolt. And I tried it, but I could only get like 2 threads on the end of a longer bolt, and that's not nearly enough. You need at least 5 threads to get full strength out of the bolt. So I've got a helicoil kit, and I'm going to do the work to put it in. Now, I don't do these very often, so I'm going to have to be really careful so that I don't mess things up and make it worse. So this is the pilot drill. This is the tap. This tap cuts the hole to the correct thread for the helicoil insert. And this drill is the correct size for running these threads. So let's go get a drill and make something happen here. Let's, nope. I'm being extra careful, as you can see. Get all the way down in there, shall we? A little bit more. Good enough. A little bit of oil, because that always helps. A little bit of oil. Right, in we go. Once again, I'm going slowly so I don't screw things up more than they already were. Right? Right. I like to run it back a little bit, like even all the way out, because you do get a bunch of chaff on there, and that can affect the cutting. So let's clean that off. There we go. Come on. Out you come. Yep. Out you come. There we go. Good. Those threads look good. More metal chaff from cutting the threads. Yeah. Anyway, I have to go get the air hose and blow this thing out. Blow that hole out. And then we can put the insert in. Alrighty then. So here we have the 3/8/16 helicoils. And here we have the helicoil installation tool. You can see that little slot. I'm going to do my best not to screw it up. Here is the insert that is going to go into this threaded hole right there. This is what's known as a 1D insert. And the reason it's called a 1D insert is because the length of the insert is the same as the diameter. So this is a 1D. You can get 1.5D, you can get 2D, depending upon how deep you want to go in the hole. 1D is fine for our purposes. This will absolutely hold the 35 foot-pounds. We got to tighten those too. So, all right, first thing I got to do is set the depth with this little guy right here. Loosen the collar. Boom. Put on the helicoil. Boom. Bring the collar up. The reason for the collar is so that we don't put the helicoil in too deep. Move the collar up a bit because, you see, the helicoil will stretch out as it goes into the threads. Once again with the oil. There we go. All right, here we go. Here goes nothing. I don't do this very often, so I'm going to try my best not to screw it up. It's going in. Yes, it is. You have to be really careful because there is a little tab on the end of this thing that will break off if you're not careful. You don't want that thing to break off until you're done putting the helicoil into the hole. So we're just taking it easy. Let's add a little more oil. This is going pretty well so far. Come on. Nice and straight. There we go. There we go. Good. Cool. Nice. Come on. You're almost there. Come on, make me happy. There it is. Ooh, there's the end of the coil. Right there. Turn it. There's the end of the coil. We want that to be
down into the first thread, and there it is. That, my friends, is an installed helicoil. Now, perfect. Now what we got to do is knock the installation tang out of the helicoil. Here's the little punch they give you in the kit to knock the tang off. You stick it in the hole. Hit your hand with a hammer. Don't do that. There we go. Let's get the blowgun and see if we can get that out of there. Did I call this a blowgun? I meant the air chuck. There we go. I think I saw something fly out of there. Did you guys? All right, that looks good. I see some metal chaff in there. We don't like that. Nope. I didn't get any transmission fluid on me. Nice. Well played. There we go. There we go, there's that. Bolts. You. This one has a bit of the bad hole stuck in its threads. There we go. Alrighty then. 35 foot-pounds. Here we go. There's that. There we go. There's that. And then this guy. There we go. A little bit of oil on the O-ring. There we go, and in you go. There. And now the hold down tab and the little screw. Oh, hey, cut that out. Stop doing that. Why I oughta. All right, you saw me knock that transmission breather out. So what I have right here are two, count them, two breathers. In you go. I don't think that will come up, but let's give it a couple of taps. Try not to block the camera with my head. I'm gonna say that's good. That's in there. I call that finished. All right. So now the tail shaft housing is mounted, the speedometer drive is in. It's time to put this thing back on the ground, put the torque converter back in, and put it back in the Jag Special. So let's do that. That was the next thing you will see about this transmission. Yay. The transmission is in, and the shifter is hooked up from the lever to the transmission. We have park, reverse, neutral, drive, second, and first. Yep, there's the fan spinning away. Maybe you notice it doesn't have a grill on the front of it anymore. So, you know, danger. I put the torque converter back onto the Turbo 350, and at last,
The torque converter is connected to the flex plate. So here we are, we've come full circle back to the initial reason we started this whole process over the last 3 episodes. The fantastic, the infamous and ever wonderful transmission dipstick tube and dipstick. We've got our lovely Mr. Gasket chromomium dipstick tube with a bracket that just slides on. Cool. And then it's got its own little brand new rubber O-ring. We're gonna pull out the stopper, get us some oil the O-ring. We take the tube, slide it through the chassis, and insert it into its home. Pop, there it goes. With any luck, CAMBOT 7 is being cool. Whoops. With any luck, CAMBOT 7 is being cool about what it sees. I probably should have pulled the heater bypass hose off, right? Should have done that first. There we go. Okay, now. There. Dipstick. In you go. Boom. Punto final. And so now we're moving on to the fuel system, which is the last thing I have to do before I try to run this thing. I'm pretty excited about that. So, as I am so fond of saying, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you around the channel. 1, 2, 1, cool. 2, 3, 4. Well, my daddy, he raised stock cars a long, long time ago at New England's fastest quarter mile, good old Westboro Road. He and Mom would rally around in their MGTD, but they bought a Porsche 356 to hear my mom and me. I was raised by gearheads, this apple fell not far from under Daddy's tutelage, messing around with cars.